how do you sustain your creative juice? When I mean creative juice, I mean how do you keep getting your creativity and inspiration bubbling from time to time? Or hasn't there been a time you ever experienced a creative burnout? You're welcome to the Princess Amarachi show, and on today's episode we'll be talking about how to handle a creative burnout and what exactly is it. Now, everyone is a creative, so don't think this episode isn't for you. Creativity is about finding new ways to do something that is old, like finding a new way to sweep your house so that you always find it exciting, finding a new way to talk about something, finding a new way to teach someone something, just finding a new way to even talk to your kids. It's all part of creativity. So you see, everyone really needs to listen to this episode, including you. So creativity is not just about being artistic or being crafty. It might be intangible things, but as far as you find a new way to do it, you are a creative person. Now, creative burnout actually is when someone is experiencing frustration, someone has low motivation to do something over a period of time. You agree with me that there are times that you might feel uninterested in doing something, you might feel uninvolved in something, you might really not feel like in the mood to do something at a particular time. That's fine. But when it's now spans for a long time, like for a week, days, months, then this is no longer about not being in the mood. You're having a creative burnout. Now, how do you know that you're having a creative burnout? When you're experiencing stress at your work or at that particular thing you do, when you have low motivation to begin that work. So you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Okay, so when you're procrastinating about doing it, like you always put it off, then there's trouble. And when you recycle thoughts as well, that means something is wrong. The creative juice is not forthcoming. When you're tired and unproductive. Yeah. So these are some of the things that give signs that something is really not in place. You might not want to call it a creative burnout, but it just means that you need to replenish, you need to rejuvenate, you need to find that hum, that tap, and turn it on again so you'll be able to do your job perfectly. Now, what do you do when you are experiencing a creative burnout? Now, this is a long one. Now, for me, there are certain things I did. Actually, let me even tell you, like few weeks back, I was experiencing this kind of thing. I didn't even know it was a creative burnout. Like, I didn't feel like doing work. I didn't feel like creating content. I didn't feel like writing. I just woke up in the morning, I'm like, what exactly am I here for? And it was intense, actually. And there are certain things I did that had to bring me back to sitting down here to talk to you today. And it was in that process that I even thought about, why don't I share this with people? Now, the first thing I want to say is you need a time to think and a time to introspect. And one of the ways I did that is by journaling. Now, I know there's so much rave about journaling, but journaling is a fancy word. What I mean is just pick a book and a pen and write. And if you're not the writing type, then you can just turn on your recorder, but just spill out the things that is going on within you. You need to let go of whatever it is that is bubbling in you. You can just write about how you're feeling right now. You know, writing those things takes you back to the purpose. Why are you creative about this? Why do you want to do this? Let's take, for instance, you're a writer, and that's a creative aspect. Why do you want to write? Let's say you're a content creator. Why do you want to create content? Let's say you're talking about how to relate with your kids. Why is this important to you? I know when you journal, you begin to express your feelings, and it takes you back to the purpose, and it also helps to get inspiration. And that way, you are a little less weightier than you were when the whole thing was just running through your head. So journaling is actually important, not just for this purpose, but I want to stress this for this purpose. So when you're feeling tired, think about journaling. Now, the second thing is identify the stress factor. Now, I talked about stress being an indicator that you're having a creative burnout. It's good that you sit down and ask yourself, it's also in the process of journaling, what exactly is making me stressed about this? What exactly is the issue that I'm having about this? And maybe you need to also take a look or listen to our series on stress. That's if you've not listened to it. It's up right here on the stress series, and find out the different kind of stress that people experience and how to identify what is causing it at some point in time. So identify the stress factor. What exactly is causing you stress in this your creative aspect of your life? And the third one is take the break. I can't stress this so much. How we feel like we don't have time until something happens and then we remember that it is only the break that we need. It's so funny because taking a break is not something we should be reactive to. We're supposed to learn to take break at one point or time when we're working. But when you're having a creative burnout, your body is telling you, auntie, pack, brother, pack, please shut down. And we want to fight our body against shutting down at that moment. But please, that's not the best thing to do. The best thing is to shut down. Like, take that break, take the break off that scene, take the break off that environment, take the break off that work. Think of something else. Even if you don't want to, just take the break and don't even think of anything. Don't do anything. And you find it out, you get yourself back. It helps. It does well. And then the fourth thing is try to change environment. When I'm talking about changing environment, you might not have the luxury of changing your physical environment, but it starts with your mindset, maybe with your workspace. If your workspace is always your computer, you might want to shut down your computer for a time. If your workspace is your book and your pen, you might want to leave that book and pen. If your workspace is your studio, you might want to take a walk away from your studio at that time or for a longer period of time. So just change the environment. And if you can afford a vacation, thumbs up. Just take the vacation and enjoy yourself. So it's necessary that you take the break and change the environment, because that opens you up and gives you a fresh view, a fresh start on something. When you're back from your break, you might want to start from scratch. What I used to do then is when I go through all these processes and I'm trying to journal, I don't just write the way I write. I try to write the way I used to write, or the topics that really interest me in the past. So I try to write about how I feel that day, things I learned that day, or maybe commentaries from what I read in the Bible, because those are the things I do when I'm starting from scratch or when I was learning how to write. So when you write on those things, it gives you that nostalgic moment and makes you remember how far you've gone and gives you a whole lot of inspiration and motivation to start afresh. So for any creative out there, just remember that creative burnout is real. It does happen. And it doesn't mean that the world is crashing. It just means that you're so good at what you're doing that your brain is telling you, hey, I need a break. Now, the other thing is to upskill or get more challenged. Now, there's one thing again that is attached to creative burnout. Sometimes we're burned out because we've not really gotten to that level which we are stretching ourselves. So we need to learn to upskill. We need to learn to learn more to grow to that level that we are stretching ourselves. You might want to take courses. You might want to get on a coaching class. You might want to go for counseling. You might want to read more books, on that aspect of your life that is stretching your brain that much. So when you upskill, you have more confidence and the low motivation will be down to do your job. And then talking about getting more challenged, maybe you're not motivated because you've passed that level. So it's time to take on more challenging jobs, do more challenging projects in that your creative space, try new things that will stretch you, that will open you up, and then you can get your motivation to start afresh. So if the issue is motivation, you might try any of this, upskill or get more challenged with bigger projects. And then the last that I want to share is focus. Yes, focus. For people like us who are diverse in a lot of things, sometimes what is stressing us is that we're doing a lot of things at the same time. So it's time for you to narrow your activities and focus on one thing at a time. And if you are able to find out what exactly is more important for me to do right now, you will be much more organized, because your brain is running helter-skelter and it just needs you to organize your thoughts. So with focus, you build enthusiasm, you build organization, and then you will know where you're headed. Because if you don't know your direction, you'll be confused. So if you're having a creative burnout, these are the things I wanted to share with you and to let you know that it happens to many creatives out there, but we might not actually have the privilege to share with you. So I'm sharing this with you to let you know that there is always a way out. Find out the way that works for you. But the first way you can find out is if you sit and ask and do a little introspection, upskill, change your environment, take that break, get more challenging jobs, and focus on one thing at a time. And then we'll see you right in your creative planet, doing great things and making the world better. Yeah, so that's my tip. Tell me the one that you have tried, and if you ever even knew what creative burnout is until this episode. I just want to get your comments on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next episode, but until then, keep living every day from within to without. Take care. Bye.